Have you ever wondered how different your life would be if you'd made a different choice? What if, somewhere out there in another version of reality, you're living a completely different life? It might sound crazy, but some scientists believe there could be infinite versions of you, each living a totally different life, in a totally different world. Stick around, because by the end of this video you might just start questioning, is this the only life you're really living? Imagine going about your day making choices without thinking much about them. What to eat, where to go, who to talk to. Simple, right? But what if every one of those choices creates a split, a fork in the road? And what if, at that very moment, another version of you is living out the other choice you didn't make? The idea that there could be multiple versions of you, each living a different reality, comes from something real, science. In fact, some physicists believe it's not only possible, but it's happening right now. You might just be living one of many lives. Let's break this down in a way that's easy to understand. Think of life as a book with infinite pages. Every time you make a decision, it's like turning to a different page. But instead of reading the next page, all the other possible pages are also being read at the same time, each one showing a different story, a different you. But here's the thing, you only get to experience one page at a time. So right now you're on one page, but all those other pages, they still exist. Here's where it gets even weirder. Have you ever felt like you were meant to do something else? Maybe you wonder, what if I'd chosen that other job? Or what if I'd moved to that other city? Most of us feel this way at some point. But think about it. If parallel universes exist, there's a version of you that did make those choices. That version of you is living the life you didn't choose. For example, say you decided not to take that dream job overseas. Then in another universe, there's a version of you who took the plunge and moved to a different country. They're living in a new culture, experiencing new things, and maybe, just maybe, they've found happiness that you can only wonder about. So how does this work? The idea of parallel universes actually comes from something called quantum mechanics. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the science, but here's the basic idea. Everything in the universe, even the smallest particles, can exist in multiple states at once. It's called superposition. Think of it like this. Let's say you flip a coin. While it's in the air, it's both heads and tails at the same time. It's only when you look at it that it chooses heads or tails. Some scientists believe that, in a way, when you make choices in life, the universe splits, and both choices happen, just in different realities. This theory is known as the many worlds interpretation, which means there could be infinite versions of you and infinite versions of the universe all existing simultaneously. Kinda wild, right? All right, let's bring this back to something everyone can relate to. Have you ever experienced déjà vu? That weird feeling like you've already been somewhere or done something before, even though you know you haven't? Some people think this might be more than just a brain hiccup. What if it's actually a glimpse into another version of you, living out the same moment, but in a slightly different way? It's like your brain is briefly tuning in to another reality, where things played out just a little bit differently. And here's the kicker. About 70% of people have experienced déjà vu at least once in their lives. That's a lot of people potentially tapping into another reality. And then we have the Mandela effect. Have you ever been absolutely sure something happened a certain way, only to find out you remembered it wrong? Like people who swear they remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s when he actually passed away in 2013. Or those who are convinced that the children's books, the Berenstain Bears, were spelled as Berenstein Bears, with an A. These are just a few examples of the Mandela effect, where large groups of people share the same false memory. But what if it's not false at all? What if in a parallel universe that's exactly how things happened, and some of us are just remembering bits and pieces of those alternate realities? Now let's get personal for a second. Think about your own life. Maybe you didn't pursue that relationship, maybe you didn't take that risk, or maybe you played it safe. But what if, in another universe, the version of you that did take the risk is thriving, living out your dreams? This idea can feel a little uncomfortable, can't it? It's hard not to wonder, am I living the best version of my life? But here's the thing, this concept isn't meant to make you feel regret. Instead, it opens up the idea that all your possibilities still exist, somewhere, somehow. It's almost like you're never truly out of chances. But let's not forget, this isn't just philosophical musing. There's some fascinating science happening behind the scenes. In 2015, scientists at LIGO detected gravitational waves for the first time, ripples in the fabric of space-time caused by the collision of black holes. Some researchers believe that these waves could be linked to parallel universes, potentially opening tiny portals into other realities. Imagine if one day we had the technology to actually see or visit these other worlds. And then there's the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. This massive particle accelerator smashes atoms together at incredible speeds to try and understand the fundamental building blocks of the universe. Some physicists believe that experiments like these could one day give us evidence of other dimensions or even parallel universes. It's not just science fiction, it's science fact. But let's pause for a moment. If there really are infinite versions of you living out every possible choice, then what does that mean for your life right now? Does that make your choices meaningless? or more meaningful. Some people find this idea comforting. It means that no matter what, there's always a version of you out there doing what you might wish you'd done. Others find it unsettling, like nothing they do really matters. But here's one thing that's certain. Whether or not these parallel universes exist, you're here now living this version of your life, so why not make the most of it? After all, you're the one living it. So, what do you think? Are you just one version of infinite possibilities? Could we ever travel to another universe and meet another version of ourselves? The science may still be uncertain, but one thing's clear. The universe, or rather the multiverse, is far stranger than we ever imagined. And maybe, just maybe, you're not living one life. Maybe you're living all of them. If you've enjoyed this mind-bending journey, make sure to hit subscribe and join us next time as we explore more of the universe's greatest mysteries.